Good morning and welcome to the Elevate Renatus team call. This is your host, Keely Austin. Today is Takeoff Tuesday. It is April 7th. I'm excited to be your host today. Bill Predebon is an incredible individual who I've gotten to know over the last 4 years. We've been both working together in Scottsdale, Arizona. And Bill is just such a great example. He is truly a product of the product. He does a wonderful job at training. He's a fantastic presenter. His energy is just incredible. And he's worked really hard to get to where he is now. And I'm just so grateful to be able to work hands-on with him and just learn from him. So some of his background: before Renatus, Bill was a pro skier. Bill was a pro skier for 10 years in Vail, Colorado, and he realized at the time he was not qualified to do much else. He got into franchising. He owned a couple of stores, and due to lack of knowledge, he ended up losing everything. He then found real estate investing. He actually did not find Renatus, but he attempted learning real estate investing on his own. In 2007, he didn't have education, and he ended up upside down and over $400,000 during the 2008 crash. Then he found Renatus, and in his first year alone, he made 8 times more than he did as the previous year as a loan officer and a realtor. And ever since then, Bill has completed over 150 real estate transactions. He's grossed multiple 7 figures in real estate. He is a marketing leader. He's on our PIT team with Bob Snyder. PIT is the PAC in Training, President's Advisory Council in Training. And we're very fortunate to get to learn from Bill today. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Keely.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty excited to be here. How are you?
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. That is good news. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good morning. This is exciting, as always. Keely, thank you so much for putting this all together and just, I don't know, man, you really get in there and do this day in and day out. And thanks for being part of Scottsdale Renatus leadership team and taking care of our community as well, and taking care of this community online here. It's just been amazing what you've been able to do and accomplish, and I'm excited to see what's in store for you this year. It's gonna be an awesome year. So thank you so much, as always. Right on, folks. Good morning. Good morning. So I was thinking couple things. Right on. I'm going to put in my phone number. A lot of you are new. 760-533-3141. All right. 760-533-3141. I put that in the chat. That's my cell. Obviously, you're welcome to give me a call or text me if you need me. And I'll see what I can do for you. With that, yeah, happy birthday to Michael. That's pretty cool. I'm going to Keely, I don't know, you might want to check your settings again on Zoom's thing. Let's see if I can. I've been admitting a bunch of people.
Oh, so you're doing that too?
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but as of yesterday, it's making me do that. So I'm sure it's just a setting and I need to go in and mess around with it. So
yeah,
I can focus on getting people admitted.
It must be the waiting room, but and I have Christian's login if you want me to do it, but if you log in and go to meetings, there's a setting for a waiting room, and you just unclick the waiting room.
Waiting room. Okay. I have the login too, so I'll take care of it. Thank you.
Yeah. Right on. So yeah, if anything ever happens, it's usually just a glitch, and it's probably just something from Zoom, you guys being so crazy. We actually did a presentation, and there was some button that was actually clicked somehow, which I've never clicked before. And it made participants, guests even, like sign in to Zoom. Like they had to get a Zoom account in order to enter the meeting. It was a disaster. We had like 95 people registered for the event. And at like 7:05, we had 25 people in the room. And I was like, there's a problem. And I figured it out a little too late. All part of the learning curve, folks. And what happens. So great call yesterday with Michael. Yeah, that'll get fixed. and he had some Q&A stuff on there. So, you know, I always open it up to you guys for that. If you have any reason, anything you want to talk about that is pertaining to your business that you want my opinion on, or you want to learn, you want me to talk to, or answer, just shout it out. You can put it in the chat or come off mute. In the meantime, you know, I figured we'd discuss, I'm not going to recap nationals or anything like that, but I figured I'd talk a little bit towards nationals. It's a pretty big deal. I imagine the majority of you were there, and it was amazing, obviously. And but one of the things I want to key on is that, you know, what's interesting is like on Saturday when everybody came out, Bobby T, and then and the pack members came out, right? Bobby T, and then Scott Rowe, Richard Stock. They talked about see the people, right? Build for events, see the people, tell a story, build for events, and follow up, right? Just basic 4 money making. I mean, I swear to you guys, from 2008 to now, it's never changed. Like the very first Super Saturday I ever trained at in 2009, I took an hour and trained on see the people. Like it's never changed. And so, you know, that's the biggest key. So I was thinking about that with today's market, right? And again, if you guys have anything that you want me to go on a tangent, I'm gonna tell a story about something in today, like what's possible. And then, but I was talking to one of my students yesterday, Brent, pretty new, and well, I mean, he's been around, and he is just really working on getting more leads. It's been an issue. And if leads is an issue, you heard Bob Snyder say this, then your business is going to suffer. And I know we all know that. So please forgive me. I'm just admitting these people as they come in. I don't know.
Bill?
Yeah.
I will admit everyone. You don't have to worry about it.
Oh, okay, cool. Perfect. Thanks, Keels. So, okay. So let's make this fun. My point is that we've got to, it's such a great time being at home. I don't know what your situation is. I don't know if you're still going to work. I don't know if you work from home and what that looks like. I don't know how do people work from home and then like have 9 to 8 hours a day at home? Like my buddy over there at Pittsburgh that runs the Pittsburgh team, Jim, that's building that with me. He's an engineer. He's like a nuclear engineer or something. I don't know. And he's working from home. I don't know, like, do they get meetings? I guess that they all have their access to their online. They probably do a lot of computer design work. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what your schedule looks like. And if it's different than when you had to drive, maybe you have more time because you don't have to commute. I don't know what you guys are doing with that time. But there's an opportunity, I think, to, and I know you guys know this already. It's not like we've been quarantined for a day. But are we taking advantage of it, right? So there's an opportunity really to take advantage of attracting online guests. And one of the things I want to say about this is, and I can talk to this in stories if you guys got questions, but you know, so during nationals on Saturday, I did a one-on-one follow-up with someone. It's been a couple weeks, you know, there's always life happens in between, but so we're placing her order today for her combo. It's a cash combo. And from day one, I met with her. This lead is pretty interesting. So somebody called me about one of my listings on one of my houses, right? And it was a cold call, and he was interested in getting the listing. He was a new realtor, relatively new, I guess, and just was calling about the listing, and it had expired a while ago. I was like, wow, man, you know, this is listing expired quite a while ago. He's like, yeah, you know, I'm just checking up. You know, we've got these. He's got this new system that he was working on, this buy system that this company was implementing, this brokerage. And I was like, you know what? I actually, and I started talking to him, and I was just making conversation, kind of on purpose and kind of not. But I was like, you know, I turned that property into an Airbnb, and you know, I just started talking about the Airbnb. He's like, you know, I really wanted to be a part of that. He's like, how did you do that? And immediately I asked him why, right? I asked a few questions, didn't answer, and I'll get to that in a minute. And then I invited him. I mean, after, it was a very good conversation. He was very open to listening to what I had to say. He was very interested in learning. And I invited him to Thursday night. He came, he's in the middle of funding, and he's brought it. He's not even an ICM yet. And he went to nationals, which is awesome. He's stoked. And he brought a guest, and his guest and I met before she ever even went to an event. And anyway, long story short is she's putting in her combo underneath him, depending on how we do it. And really exciting. My point is that when we start talking to people, folks, there is no question that there are going to be, like, I'm working with a guy, you already know this. I'm working with another guy that is struggling. Like his text back to me was, and he's a good dude. Like, he came to a meeting, the last meeting before we went online, and just excited. He's like, I want to get together with you. He was a friend of my architect. My architect finally came. I've been inviting my architect for over a year, and he finally comes with a guest to their very first meetings, and they both loved it. And we were going to get together, and then, you know, this crap went down. And so I've been following up, and he's in real estate. He's some sort of broker. I'm not exactly sure. He's a relationship guy. And he's like, you know what, man, 8 out of 10 deals didn't close. And I kind of mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, and I texted him, and he's just struggling right now, trying to preserve his family. He's got a family. It's most important to him. Makes sense. And that's like real reality. Right. But, and I'm going to touch base with him again. I'm going to go through it with him, but I'll tell you, not everybody is looking at this like a negative situation. And most of us are not. But if you are talking to people who are constantly bringing up objections, money, I'm afraid of what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I want to wait till this settles. All of that's legit. And it's an excuse, but nonetheless, it is what it is. And it's a tough objection, and you can spend some time working with them. You don't want to give up on them. You don't want to give in to them, but there's nothing better and nothing greater than working with someone who's coachable and open, because the process is not hard. Like Kelly, working with Kelly and Steve, like he watched nationals from his phone at his car dealership, working, trying to watch nationals. Like, that's how motivated he is to get into this education and be a part of this team. And working with someone like Steve, he would have enrolled after the first day had he had access right away to the funds. He's got to make some things happen and make it happen, right? And that is an enjoyable experience. Now, I'm never going to stop working with people. I have a guy who took 5 months to fund, but he showed up, right? I have people that I've gone through objections with, and it's tough, and they want proof, and they want to be certain, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're not going to spend time with them. But if that's the only person, if you're working with 1 or 2 people, and they are very concerned about Corona, and they're concerned about the world falling down and all that stuff, that makes sense. There's nothing wrong with that, to some degree, right? To a big degree, but it's draining. You know, it's difficult, you guys. So it questions you whether or not you're doing the right thing. Should I be worried about, like, it makes you rethink what you're trying to say and the message you're trying to convey. But when you are also working with people that are open to it, and they're like, you know what, I'm looking for a change, or you know what, I'm willing to listen and learn. I spoke with a guy, you know, first thing this morning, walking my dogs. This guy's in Florida. He's 3 hours behind. He's a friend of my guy, one of my team members, Lee, and the conversation was awesome. And, you know, the guy's excited about getting started. He's got equity in a property he's having a little bit difficulty. The banks are shut down. He's opened one account. They really weren't access. So then he went to another bank on his own, and is doing the application for the home equity line of credit online. Like, he's taking the initiative. So the conversation wasn't like, oh, you know, these banks, I'm a little afraid. You know, it wasn't negative. It was all positive. Whether or not he funds it through his home equity line or not, it takes a little bit longer. This is the type of person that you want on your team. And it's not that we can't convert some other folks that are struggling a little bit longer and take a little bit, But if that's all we work with, the minute they get started, imagine the amount of time it's going to take and energy you're going to put into someone who you had to push over the goal line, right? When you've got to push them over the goal line instead of give them instead of lead block them over the goal line, right? And some of you don't know football, but you get my point. When you're blocking, you're paving the way, right? You're making this path, and the running back comes through behind you and hits the opening, and then they take off with the ball themselves, and they get across the end zone. But when you've got to get behind them and push them over through all the people in front of them, and you're like, the odds of you getting them over the line are not very good. And most of the time you're going to meet a lot of resistance. It's going to take a lot more time, and you might take 2 or 3 or 4 downs to try to do it, right? But when you lead block and you pave the way, and someone's willing to run behind you with the ball and then break out into the open themselves and take it the rest of the way, that's the people you want to work with. All right. And those people are out there. So, the Nationals was teaching simply how to do this, how to find leads and how to see the people and tell the story. So I'm going to tell a story in a minute. Bobby, did you have a question? And remember, folks, if you've got anything that you want to talk about, I'll stray off on any tangent, any rabbit you want me to chase. I'm cool with it. That's what my mind does. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but did anybody see, and you don't have to answer, but did anybody see a little video on Facebook from Ryan and Laura Black on a deal they just closed? I'm pretty sure they closed it. And I'm pretty sure they sold it, but I don't know if you know, but it looked like to me they made $295,000, $295,000 profit on one freaking deal. Okay, now this was a challenging deal. It was a multifamily. It was a multiple year deal. Okay, but wealth is created through real estate, and Utah is a strong market. Okay, it's a fast-moving market like Florida, California, Las Vegas, Arizona, Northern California, Seattle, Washington, right? Some of these major city markets. So they bought that house a few years ago, right? John O'Neill's deal where he bought a property and split the lot and made like 95 grand on it. And yeah, Heather, absolutely, right? These deals were bought when? They were bought several years ago. What was the market doing several years ago? It was down. It was still down. Even in 16, it was an under market value. Now remember this, they also bought it under market. So retail market values there's always a retail price. It's just whatever the demand will provide for a retail price. But when the market corrects, over time, 50 years, the National Association of Realtors have been tracking real estate. We all know real estate goes up. It goes up and down, but it goes up, okay? So ultimately, when the market goes down, the reason it's good to buy low and it's good to buy in a down market is because the appreciation and the economy will bring it back to normal. And then inflation and time will bring it up again, right? So it's going to get back up to where it was, just like we were in 2007, 17, 18, and 19. We got in a lot of pockets back up to 2007 pricing, and then we've exceeded that, right? So my point is this is so amazing, is that not only can you buy at a retail price, which is below market value already, just because it's already fallen down, right? The market's gone down, but then you have the skill set and the knowledge to get it below market value then. So you get another 10 minimum to 30% discount at that time. So they went ahead and they improved the property. They increased rents. They decreased expenses. They improve the property according to the bank. They make the property look sexier to the bank. Then they ride out this appreciation a little bit. They increase rents, and it's time to sell. Buy low, sell high. And they sell a property and realize a $300,000 profit. All right? So Sheena says, yeah, I purchased the property in 2013 with $83,000 in equity. Absolutely. That's awesome. And there's no question that I can't imagine that there's anybody on this call that wouldn't have liked to have bought more property, or any property for that matter. And you've heard me say this before, but in the last decade, up until 2017 or 18. So the same opportunity arose, and it was interesting because you got to remember, I was investing for 5 years, and investing. I was a real estate flipper. Okay, so I don't even know if you'd call that investing in real estate. I guess you would be working in real estate. I don't know, because I wasn't investing in it really. I was just buying it and selling it. It was a different commodity, I guess. And investing to me would be buying property. And so I'd been flipping houses for 5 years, making money, digging myself out of the hole, right? You guys know this. And my wife comes into my office, literally stands at my French door at my other house and says, you know, we're ready to start. I want to start living in California, you know, once, you know, for a month out of the year. And she's like, we're able to do that. Find us a house in California. I'm like, all right, you know, I'm going to go ahead and get some boots on the ground. You know, I got to analyze property. I got to find deals. I don't want to buy retail. And she's like, no, I've been looking. There's some good houses out there. I'm looking on Zillow and stuff. And so she's like, I got this one. You should call on this one. I like this one. And she liked it because of the price. She liked it because of the opportunity there. She, you know, it wasn't perfect condition or anything like that. And I'm like, all right, I'll call. And she's like, no, you're going to call now. And literally stood in my doorway. And I was like, damn it. I'm busy. You know what I mean? I'm working. And I'm kidding. She works too. She has her own consulting business, stuff like that. But she's like, no, call on this. I'm like, okay. So I make this call and a realtor answers the phone. And the realtor was given the opportunity by the for sale by owner to list the property on behalf of the owner, but not as the owner's agent, but trying to attract the buyer because the owner did not put it on online. The agent put it online. So the agent attracted me and represented me. So that's how the agent was getting paid. So when I asked them, and this is what we did, you guys, this is a true story. This is the opportunity that I want you to be able to, not what I want, that I believe that I'm using right now to close business, to talk to people about the future, talk to people about getting involved in Renatus and why now is the best time to do it, right? Is in during this time, 2013, 14, and 15, I was flipping houses. My wife had like $8,000 saved up from somewhere, I can't remember. And I had like no money saved up. I was still broke. I was paying off all my debt, but still relatively even. And so I got this little deal that I found, and I put our $8,000 into it, and we flipped it and we doubled it. And we made a like $8,000 profit. And then I had this deal that was a pretty big rehab deal that I got my hands on through the community, actually, word of mouth. And I got this deal, and it was a good deal. And I was going to flip it. It had like a $40,000 profit in it. But the guy who enrolled me, I contacted him. And I knew back then he was still wholesaling. He wasn't a part of community anymore, but he was still wholesaling. I said, you want this deal? If you want to wholesale this deal, I'll give you $5,000 if you find the buyer. And it was a $20,000 wholesale. So we did. He had a buyer for it. We wholesaled it. I made $15,000. We took that $8,000 and the $15,000 that I made in real estate, and I went to this guy online that had this opportunity to sell this condo in California. And I said, I want to put $20,000 down. And I want to do 100% owner financing at 5% interest for 4 years. And I'll pay more than anybody else will pay for it. I'll get them closest to asking prices you can. And the guy in California was a realtor, right? This is a realtor, right? Someone who's educated, selling a crap load of homes. You know, at the time was struggling, but had made money in the past. And he goes, why would anybody, he goes, this is California. I'm like, I know, I live in Arizona. He's like, why would anybody ever do that? And some of you have heard this, but I'm going to make a point here in a minute. So, I was like, listen, if this isn't the deal and the owners don't want to do it, I don't care. I'm like, if you want to represent me, I want you to keep looking, find me a deal where someone's willing to carry the financing. He loses my number, in my opinion. My wife comes back to my door in 2 days. She goes, did you call the guy back? And I'm like, no, I haven't called yet. I'm busy. She's like, you should call. And I'm like, no, I will. And she stood in my doors in my office again. And she's like, you should call now. And so I was like, all right, I'll call. So I call the guy and he's like, Bill, And I'm like, hey man, what's up, JD? You didn't call me back like you said you would. He's like, well, I was going to call you, but I lost your number. And I'm like, yeah, you threw my number away. He's like, you're never going to believe this. You know, they actually might take your deal. And I'm like, why? Because you asked them. You know, I was being sarcastic. I'm like, why? Because you asked. You never know what the motivation of a seller is. All of this, the point is, you fast forward, is we get this deal for $25,000 out of pocket, $450,000 condo, less than a mile from the beach on the west side of I-5, in a very prime location in Solana Beach, California. And it's not a beach house, but it's close, and it has a lot of demand. And I only wanted to pay $2,000 a month out of pocket. So we did an interest-only loan, and I actually deferred some of the interest payment. So we got the interest rate at 6%, owner finance for 4 years, and I deferred the difference so that I only had to pay $2,000 a month out of pocket for the mortgage. And we own the property. The property is appreciated $300,000, and most of you have heard this. But the point is that imagine if I had done that more than once. Doesn't matter, right? I did buy other property, and we can get to that. But here's my point. When you're talking to people, we don't know what the opportunity of the market seems to be holding a little strong. There's been, I will tell you, I spoke with a couple of experts here in town yesterday, and they have noticed that over the this year compared to last year in Arizona, we've had 60 cancellations a day when we typically have an average of 9. All right. However, a lot of that has to do with Zillow. If you're not if this doesn't make any sense to you, it's fine. But Zillow and I can't even think of it. These online buyers, and I can't think of what, I don't know why. Open Door. These guys have they're all out right now. They're not buying property. They're not selling property. They're all out, right? So they've canceled a lot. A lot of that is skewed a little bit information, but you get the point. But the market is holding. Yeah, Redfin too, Matt. The market is holding strong to an extent. So we don't know if there's going to be a decline in the market. But what we also don't know, or what we do know, is that the opportunity to be prepared in the future, right? If I asked anybody I'm talking to, would you have liked to have a house that you bought and held in 2009 through 2016? They all say yes. The same opportunity. I don't care what the coronavirus results in the real estate market. Regardless of all that, the market is due for some sort of correction. We were on our way anyway to a correction. When it was happening, I don't have a crystal ball. But when that happens, right, in most major markets, we're talking about a 20 or 30% discount before you even apply your knowledge, right? And the opportunity for you to share that with people, right? And now what's pretty interesting is there's some property that has not been available on the beach in quite some time. I was looking at one yesterday. It's 1.5 million. It's a single family house, literally 2 blocks from the beach, in La Jolla. Like, this house is normally $2.5 million. And I don't know if that higher end market is just a little bit, weary right now. And some people, maybe they've lost a lot of money in the stock market and they're waiting, but there's some opportunity already in some certain markets. Like in Arizona, under 350 grand, it's still off the chain from my understanding. Somebody might correct me on that. I'm not in that market right now, but well, I made 2 offers on last week. I still haven't even heard, but I don't have anything for sale right now. Well, I have one property for sale, I guess, under 300. It doesn't matter. My point is, it's a pretty strong market right now, but there's some opportunity. So we're looking at writing probably today on that $1.5 million property, right? And I can 1031 this my own condo, or I'll just leverage it. I'll just get the equity out of it, keep the property, and roll it into this beach house. So the opportunity is a short period of time where the folks that you're talking to, but if you hear Dan Clark teach on this, if we're not talking to our prospects and asking these questions, like, can you imagine, would you like to do this, right? then it's very difficult if we're trying to tell them to spend $20,000 and in a time when everybody's holding on to their money, right? But when you can tell some stories, when you can share a vision, right? Your own vision, even if you haven't done it, I can imagine that every single one of you is wanting to do this, right? Is looking forward, given the opportunity that you have with the education you have and the relationships you've been building and the credit you've been fixing and the velocity banking you've been applying to your debt and all of the things that are setting you up for the next time the market moves a little bit. You are probably excited about what's potentially possible when you can get your hands on a property for 50 cents on the dollar, right? And you know, you've seen us come out of a recession where the real estate had dropped to an all-time historic low, and we have succeeded and exceeded that price point, right? It took a little bit of time, but there's so, like Sherry and I were sitting on the couch last night, chilling out, eating dinner, and a guy came on, and he was this guy owns a company that sells these freaking cell phone booster shit. I don't even know what it is. It boosts your signal for some length of time. The guy is like, his sales are 100 times greater right now than he's ever had because the internet's so jammed up and Zoom's getting caught up, right? And so she's like, wow, there are some major opportunities for people that are just getting the advantage of this crisis. And that's absolutely true. It's not like that person's going to take their money and donate all their money to the masks that they need right now. They're going to take advantage of it. And eventually they'll be able to give back on a higher level. And ultimately we all want to be able to do that, right? So this is the picture that you can paint for your prospects. When I'm talking to my prospects, when I talked to the gentleman today in Florida, it was having a conversation with Nicholas. Nicholas knows Florida. He understands the market and sees what's potentially possible. And he knows because the house that he's leveraging in Connecticut, he bought in 2013 or something like that. And it has a ton of equity in it, right? He understands appreciation, and it's not even appreciation. It's really correction equity, right? It's buying in a down market, riding it out for a little while and waiting for the correction and then selling high again or tapping out high with an equitable line of credit. So when we're painting that picture, it's exciting because most people understand this. They understand that if they knew how to do it, they would have done it, right? They wish they knew now what they knew then. Well, right? But they don't know how to capitalize. And they didn't, and even if they said it, like even if they weren't in a bad position in 2008, like there's several hundred million people that were not, or a couple 100 million people that were not in trouble in 2008, right? There was less than 100 million that were, and then there was the other 200 million that were not, right? And even those folks, a lot of them, the majority of them did not take advantage except the one house that they bought that they were going to live in. And they probably all look back right now. Many of them have probably moved on, or they have doubled or tripled the amount of money that they have in their house, right? Based on just living in it accidentally. And they wish they would have bought the neighbor's house next door that was boarded up. So when we paint this picture, folks, you get the picture of what I'm talking about. I bought a house in 2014. That's one of my Airbnbs. And it's up on my board. I had to put my portfolio up and kind of look at it. And because I needed to know all my bills and be able to negotiate, because I got to keep track of anybody that's not paying rent based on this, I don't know, eviction law and whatever they're doing out there. And so I've had to spend some time studying what my rights are as a landlord and stuff like that, just so I can be prepared when I have to negotiate the rents with these folks. And then I also have to, when the eviction lifts, they're going to need to pay this money back. It's not rent free unless they get help. Fortunately, the majority of my renters have paid me, which is good, but who knows how long this will last, right? So that property that I bought is now a 5-bedroom, sleeps 14 Airbnb. And I've lost I shouldn't say lost. I've had about $10,000 in 30 days of cancellations. It's actually about 12. Fortunately, May right now is still full, but you know, with the stimulus package that they're given for the businesses, I should be able to recoup a lot of that. I hope, possibly. But the good news is that I bought it right, and there's $150,000 or more of equity in it. And you guys, my mortgage on this house with the refinance I did into a commercial loan on when I cross collateralized a couple properties, and this is in the classes, you guys, is like $400 a month. It's minimal. It's almost negative. It doesn't like it doesn't matter that I'm not getting rents other than I'm not making money, right? But it is the opportunity for us to have the education that these folks want and need is there, but we've got to be able to paint that picture. And in my opinion, you've got to be able to be talking to more than one person. You have to see the people. It is imperative that, and so let's talk about that. Let's talk about seeing the people. Are there any questions? No. And thanks, Sheena. You're so awesome. You're so nice. Yeah, negotiating for some of the rent, absolutely. They do technically have to show proof and documentation, physical documentation to the landlord. And there's one property of mine that's a triplex it's kind of lower income housing, and that's the one that I'm having the problem with right now. But anyway,
Hey,
so
Bill,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No, I'm glad you did. I like it.
Okay, before you started talking about seeing the people, I had a question.
Yeah.
So I have been looking at some property, having a realtor show me property, and there's one that I found out that it's actually an estate sale, but it may be a short sale. So I told the realtor that I wanted to make an offer on it, and she told me that I needed to have proof of funds before I do that. So how do you get proof of funds?
Great question. So the short answer is a hard money lender will give you 100% of the purchase price on an LOI, a letter of intent to lend. It's a LSR, possibly loan status report, depending on whatever they name it. Okay, but you can call any hard money lender in your town and say, hey, listen, I need a proof of funds on this short sale offer I'm going to make. Would you send it over? And they'll do it. The other thing you can do is even me, I can give you a private money LSR that says Creative Solutions, will lend you $100,000 at 8% interest for 1 year on so-and-so property listed above, blah, 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 blah. Anybody can give you a proof of funds. It's the stupidest thing that means absolutely nothing. Typically, a proof of funds is when you're buying a house as a retail customer, you show like your stock statement, your bank statement or whatever. But a proof of funds can simply be a private money lender that's going to give you the money to go buy the house. And that's what a hard money lender will do. Now, most hard money lenders are not going to give you 100%, but in their letter of intent, they will. In their LSR, they'll give you 100% of the proof of funds. So that's where I'd start. Otherwise, ask somebody in the community to just write you. They probably, if anybody's experienced in your community doing real estate, they've probably be given a proof of funds or made up their own before. And that's all you need. It's a meaningless piece of paper.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep. Worst case scenarios, man. If you're at dire end, I'll put one together. A long time ago, I bought a company. I bought into a company that creates letters of they're a transactional funding company, and I can get a proof of funds letter if I needed like a more formal one from them anytime. So, yep, I have lifetime access to that.
Okay. And what did you say? You said it was they call a LOI, letter of intent, or
yeah, it's
LSR.
a letter of intent to lend, or an LSR. A loan status report is probably more common for the hard money lender. And hey, can I get a loan? Just call it that. Just if you tell them you need proof of funds, they'll know. They'll have a form. They'll fill it out. They'll get the address. What's the purchase price? what's your company name, and they'll email it over.
Okay, thank you so
Yep.
much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's typically, tell them they know that it needs to be the full amount of the purchase price, but it's going to say in there that's contingent upon something, whatever it is, partners walkthrough, appraisal, full appraisal, or some bullshit that doesn't really matter, that they're never going to do, and that satisfies the agent.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. You guys need proof of funds. You're pretty funny. So you're going to need to text me. If you need a proof of funds, it takes me a minute or two to do it. So hopefully not the whole world does it. But if you guys need it, Billy, text me. I need the address. I need the name of the company that you're buying it in. And I need the full address. I need the name of the company, and I need the amount that you're purchasing it for. Okay. So you need to text me that information so I can get you the POF. 760-533-3141. All right. So someone had a question, I thought. Oh, that's pretty cool. So Michelle, that's really cool. I don't know if everybody read Michelle's thing, but you guys might want to read it. That's cool, Michelle. Michelle is take care of their customers and they'll take care of you. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I definitely recommend negotiate. Everything's negotiable, and everything is everything can be worked out. So one of my tenants did call me, and she lost her job as a teacher, and she was afraid of next month's rent. And she said, and I just asked, she's like, I'm not sure about rent and all this stuff. What are you doing? I wasn't sure what to do. I said, and I just asked, I'm like, yeah, no problem. What did you want to do? And she's like, well, I wasn't sure. And I said, well, I'm assuming did you have the money for this month based on the fact that, you just got laid off this week. So you probably got paychecks for this month. She's like, oh yeah, we definitely have this money for this month. And then, I'm even looking for a second job, and my sister has her work still. So we probably can still pay next. So I didn't even ask her, I wasn't like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. You don't have to pay rent. I was like, oh, tell me where you're at. What's up? And she came out and told me. But I also said, listen, no matter what the case is, I'm not looking to kick you out or anything like that. I'm not looking to make this hard on you. All of your late fees and all of those things are forgiven by the government. So we're not going to impose any penalties for anything like that. And whatever we need to do, we'll work it out. Just know that, on my behalf, I've got to collect rents as well. That's my job. And so, I have certain rights to that, and, we'll just have to work through it on both ends. And so I agree with you, Michelle. You can definitely take care of your customers, or just at least be willing to, be open at now. When you come from a place when you need money and someone owes you money, and, like anything, it's harder. So you've got to be open to the universe, like we all talk about on these calls. So, okay, so let's talk about these leads a little bit. And how much time we got? It is, oh shoot, it's almost 7:50. All right. So, if you're not getting leads, if you don't have leads, I don't know how better to say. I would guess that the majority of you have a fairly significant number of people in your phone and also on your Facebook. And many of the Facebook people you don't know. But I would think that given the time that you have home and the downtime we have, that I spend time looking in my phone and looking on my Facebook for friends, people that I know. And I definitely, I have business cards that I collect. I always collect their business card. I don't give them out. And I write on the business cards all the time how I met them or how I know them, if they're new or whatever, right? And so here's the interesting thing is that when we're contacting them, I suggest you take a little time and think about what you're going to say to them. I have some new leads that are interested in watching the founders webinar from yesterday. I was going to connect with them via the phone first. Yeah, the founders webinar was freaking ridiculous. Typically, I think you can probably send them that link. I'm not exactly sure how that works. You're not like the founders webinar. You're supposed to. It's a guest can be on there, but you're supposed to invite them on with you. When it was the call, we would always bring them on. So I'm assuming whatever it is, you obviously just don't want to give them. I don't know how it works. Given that it's Facebook Live and it's a Zoom webinar, you probably just want to send them the link if you can. Because you don't want to just have them have access to the Monday night webinar every single week, and they'll just get on that. You know what I mean? But I would definitely sharing that webinar with somebody is pretty powerful, given what Bob does for us. You know, that's one small, tiny icing on the cake that we get from Bob Snyder. Having Matt and Mark there yesterday was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. What I would suggest, hold on one second, is that when I text people, I most of the time, especially someone brand new that I'm talking to, it takes me a minute. Like I'll create a text and then I will read through it and I will change it. And every text to me is different. It doesn't have to be this way. I don't know. Michael probably does it more efficiently than I do. He's probably got more people that he's talking to, obviously. But it is, for me, I put in a personal touch and I create something that's going to create intrigue. Like, and I'll tell you this, in my opinion, most of the time, like, especially, and I learned this talking like to my wife sometimes, is we talk at people. Even now when I'm training or talk, like the last thing I think that we want to do, like there's certain times when you need to tell someone and train them, right? And you need to talk to them directly. But when we're reaching out to someone for something specific that we want, right? We typically make it about ourselves, but this is always about them. So whenever we present something to somebody, I think picking our words, remember, Michael, words mean things. Picking our words is so important on how we ask the question to get them intrigued by what we're doing. And when you can make it their idea, and you've heard me train on this before, but what I'm even talking about in the text that you're going to intrigue them to invite them to open up, to engage the conversation. There was even when we think about a new prospect, and we can't help but prejudge them. Like one of the rules, don't prejudge. So that just means no matter what it is, make sure that you ask them regardless, even if you are prejudging a little bit. And I'll get to what I'm saying so I can get to these last comments. So even if we prejudge, we're like, oh my God, this person would so be great at this. So imagine if we're like, Jimmy, you have been in sales your whole life. I know you're not in the car dealership industry right now. It's kind of shut down or whatever. You're going to be great at this. You've got to see, right? And you're telling that with sincerity. Like that makes sense that he or she that's in sales would move into this and love this business. But that came across, although it's good and they're receptive to it, and they're like, oh, thanks, nice compliment, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'd be interested in looking at it. It's all about you and what you think that is good for them. And so I would rephrase that, right? When I was texting them, I'm like, and it's in that form of question, but it's like not, hey man, have you thought about what you're going to do for more money now that the sales jobs, it's not invasive. It's not abusive. It's not in your face necessarily, but it's more a leading question. Hey, what are you going to do for, are you moving on to, are you taking advantage of this opportunity? maybe in this downtime to find the perfect job that you love doing in sales. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh yeah, you know, I was thinking about that. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot softer. It's a lot more, hey, tell me what you're doing. I want to know about what you're doing. You know what I mean? And then it's them telling you. All right, I'm just going to check this chat real quick. Okay. Anthony, I got that. I have new leads that are interested. Okay, I saw that one. I think that's a great idea. No, I don't know what that is. Oh, there you go. Proof of funds here for free. Yeah, best transaction. That's a great place. My warm list seems more skeptical. I've had better success reaching out to people already interested in real estate groups on Facebook. Yeah, I mean, there's no question, Bobby. I said that to everybody. That if you're in Facebook groups and there's already an interest, I would agree. That, you know, if you look at what Nate Lambert did, if you can go back and watch Nate Lambert's training, obviously watch everybody's training, but Nate Lambert trained like a beast about what he's able to do in his warm market Facebook groups and creating warm market. But he really talked about adding value. It's a skill set that I think that Nate has that, I mean, if everybody had that skill set, we'd all make $100,000 in a month, but multiple months. And I think it's worth developing that skill set. There's no question. There's a means to that madness, or whatever that phrase is. I don't know. You know what I mean? He probably tested it. I don't know if you heard this, but it said that he was developing the relationship with the owner of that Facebook group for 2 years. So, you know, you don't just jump in there and start picking people out of there and asking them. I don't know. You know, you can do it. Anything works. You can always try things and adjust as it goes. So, you know, my warm market may be skeptical, but there is no question that warm market is approachable, and warm market is the fastest way to success. And if they're skeptical, there's going to be the skeptical ones that you will not convert. You may never convert. They will never join, but there is a way to approach and get them in front of the information. And if you can get them in front of the information with the right approach, they will become less skeptical because the information is so powerful, like yesterday's webinar. Cool. Let's see. I remind myself when I talk to leads that I can't pull someone into my world. They have never experienced it, but I can go into theirs. I've been there, and I can help them view themselves being a better version of themselves. That's good. Great insight. Cool, Keely. Thank you. Awesome. Love Nate's info. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we now have a social media with Rob Sperry. There's no question. You could kill it with social media in that class. A lot of people didn't even know we had that class. It's in the back office in the bonus section in the AIT, and it's there. And I have not watched it yet, but I did a lot of Rob Sperry stuff, but I haven't put it into practice. So that was another $500 I spent. Pretty funny. All right. So we'll wrap up. I got 8:01. I'm going to put this back in here. 760-533-3141. Oh, I just did that to Anthony. It's funny. All right. 760-533-3141. So I guess in conclusion, number one is you got to see the people. And if you really, I mean, the opportunity is crazy. You know, I probably have $100,000 in the pipeline ready to fund in the next 30 to 60 days. And in a market that's not a very good market, right? And the thing is the majority of what I'm talking about is being prepared, getting set, having the right tools and knowledge, you know, not wanting to feel the way they feel today, tomorrow, right? Or the next time this happens. You know, in the last 20 years, we've seen at least really four major things happen. Y2K, which was nothing, right? 9/11, which was something, right? 2008, right? And now this. And in between there, we've had little bits and pieces that have made the economy go up and down, right? And all things are crazy. We're not immune to this, and it's not getting better. It's going to get worse, whatever the next thing is that comes down the pipeline. And people, you know, I've heard this on several, Mark Kohler talked about it. And I heard it the other day, and I wish I could remember exactly, but this is a wake-up call. Like, and the thing is like the opportunity to take advantage of the wake-up call is so powerful. Like you literally could do some of the things that, and I don't mean you, I'm talking about when you're talking to your prospects, because a lot of prospects are waiting and are scared, and that makes total sense. And we've got to sympathize with that and be understanding. But holy man, when we can paint this picture and offer them a peace of mind for the next time this happens, or prepare them from when the dust does settle, and they have a direction where, you know what, when the dust settles in 2 months, 3 months, 2 weeks, 4 months, whatever it is, end of the year, next year, whatever they're talking about, how cool is it going to be when you have options? Yeah, you're going to go back to work. Yeah, you're going to, you know, settle back into life and everything. But imagine if you got a new tunnel with light at the end of it that you can go down because you made decisions now when you had the opportunity to make those decisions, and tell those stories as to all the things that have happened for other people over the last downturn when they took advantage of it, and how they're coming out on top now. Same thing can happen to them. All right.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, this is Gilda. Just
Yes.
wanted to, you know, share this. I heard from known call from Bob Tierney yesterday that there, you know, there's Fortune Builder apparently laid off like 300 of their employees out of 400. So that's, you know, that's obviously, you know, one of our competitors out there. And I thought it was a great piece of information, that how great we have being, we can do this, you know, our education is online compared to this Fortune Builder. So, you know, they have to have the group, and they can't really do it now. So, so I thought I just, you know, wanted to share it. And another thing that was shared yesterday was there's like 13.5 million students that are, you know, supposed to graduate, you know, this semester, and now couldn't graduate. Well, they can't graduate with, you know, walking on the stage and all that, but and then now what they're gonna do. So there's plenty of market for us, you know, to really, there's a lot of people that we can actually help at this point. So that's all. And I just want to thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. You know, your training has been so powerful every time, and I always learn something every time, you know, I'm on your, you know, call. So thank you so much, you know, for giving your time to us.
Well, that means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. I'm so glad to help everybody, and I really appreciate the information. You are just amazing. You're awesome, Hilda. I love you guys, and you're right, you guys. That's a great point. There's the biggest. There is so much opportunity, and you're talking about these graduates. That's a great point. I didn't even think of that. And here's the thing: spend the time to think about how you want to approach them, and then approach them and see the people and tell the story, and share it with them, and in a way that would make sense if you put yourself in their shoes, right? Or maybe you're in their shoes, you know what I mean? And what this opportunity could mean. Awesome. Michelle, you're welcome. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy Tuesday. Make it a great day. Make it happen. I will see you tomorrow on Dane's call. I will see you guys. Great seeing everybody at Nationals. How awesome was that? Next time, we'll see you guys at Leaders Retreat, right? Everybody's 3-star qualified. So, or 5-star or 1-star, whatever it is. So, so we'll be at Leaders Retreat and Cabo, baby. You know it, Megan. And it's going to be sick. It's just going to be so incredible. You guys, if you need me, call me or text me. And thanks for Anthony Mallet putting that out there for the Get Funded. Thank you guys, Leslie, David, and Hilda. Sandra, you're awesome. You guys are great. Megan, thanks. Thanks, Keely. Leslie, thank you. And love you guys. Awesome. Make it a great day. I will end the meeting for everybody, and I'll see you later. And thank you so much for spending your time with me. It means the world to me. All right. See you on the flip side.